Good morning, friend. Welcome to the e-learning class of biology. We'll continue with the topic control coordination. Nervous control coordination we are studying with. Last lecture we discussed diencephalon and midbrain. This lecture we are going to start with next part to discuss with, that is hindbrain. We already say frontal part is called forebrain, middle part is called midbrain, and last part is called as hindbrain. Structures we are studying with their structural detail and the functions in detail. The last part of a brain that we want to discuss, this is called hindbrain, and the name itself gives it is a posterior part of a brain. Again, it is made up of a three part: cerebellum, ponsviruli, and medulla oblongata. Names are familiar to you. First part is called cerebellum, the one which is second largest part of a brain. See here, this is cerebrum. This is the cerebellum section of the brain I am showing you. This is cerebrum, largest part, and this is second largest part. This is called a cerebellum. Second largest part, we may call it as little brain. So what could be the large brain? Yes, cerebrum is called as large brain. This is called as a little or small brain. How much it is? It is 11% of a total brain weight. Cerebrum is 85%. Rest of parts are negligible. Again, it is formed by two cerebellar hemisphere. Now see, if you hold your hands like this, whatever these portions are there, these are correlated with the cerebellum. Remember, like this, they are correlated with the cerebellum. Present from the back side, the one which is formed by two hemispheres. These are called two cerebellar hemisphere. But remember, for this time, we have a central lobe, or one additional central lobe is there, that is called vermis. So remember, in addition to the two lobe, we'll have middle lobe, that is called our vermis, and situation of gray matter, situation of white matter will be similar like a cerebrum. Now we are going to discuss where we have a change. Here, white matter will be from inside and gray matter will be from outside. So what is gray matter? Like what we discussed for cerebrum. Whatever the cell bodies are present from outside, nerve tracts will be present from inside. Similar situation for cerebellum also. Gray matter will be from outside, white matter will be from inside. And that white matter intermix with the gray matter on that middle lobe called a vermis. And that will form a tree-like appearance. Here, in this section I'm showing. The white matter will intermix with the gray matter and that will form tree-like, palm tree-like structure. And this is called arbor vitae. Remember, very important multiple choice question. I'll repeat. In case of a cerebellum, on the vermis, white matter will intermix with gray matter. And that will form a palm tree-like structure here. This is called arbor vitae, important structure. We continue with the cerebellum to discuss with. It shows a surface with those convolutions. So similar like cerebrum, we have a presence of those gyri and sulci here. Total, it is made up of 30 million neurons, which are present in cerebellar cortex. While three pairs of a myelinated nerve bundle that will connect cerebellar peduncle, that is called cerebellar peduncle, and that will collect cerebellum to the other parts of the brain, maybe cerebrum, maybe pons spheruli, maybe medulla oblongata, etc. So this is something about structural character of cerebellum. Next function we'll discuss. Number one, it maintains equilibrium of the body. So part of the function will be given to cerebellum, part of the function will be given to some other part. Even it will be maintaining posture, balance of the body, orientation of the body, moderating voluntary movements present in the body. Maybe this movement of hands, etc. Maintenance of a muscle tones. Whenever walking, we have a perfect tone in the body. That is for muscle tone. Now, all this maintenance of equilibrium is the function of cerebellum. Second, it will have a regulatory center for neuromuscular activity, nervous system muscle activity. And that will control rapid activity like walking and running and speaking, etc. So whenever we start running, we need not to take care of voluntarily each and every part of the body. Thing will happen automatically. And this control on all these activity like walking and running and speaking will be with the cerebellum. Remember all activities of cerebellum, like what we discussed for cerebrum, they are voluntary in addition to involuntary. Here we have all the activity which are involuntary in nature, remember. Involuntary, not on our conscious control. I told you whenever we are walking, we have a perfect tone in the body, that is because of cerebellum. Somehow some people take something that will lose the balance, and this is because of first effect on the cerebellum, remember. That's it, this is something about cerebellum. Second part is called a ponsviruli. See here, this bulging is called a ponsviruli. This bulging is called as ponsviruli. Now here I am showing the total structure as a brain stem. But here this bulging is called as a pons spheroli. What this bulging is, this is appear a rounded bulge. I told you this rounded bulge on the underneath of a brain stem. What is brain stem? Three structure will together form the brain stem. This side will have midbrain. This side will have midbrain. This side will have a pons, and this side will have medulla oblongata. Three together from brain stem. This is for namesake, remember. Multiple choice question will be midbrain and pons spheroli plus medulla oblongata, that will form midbrain. And this will be the bulging underneath the midbrain. This is round bulge. What it contain? It contain cross bands of a nerve fiber connecting cerebrum and cerebral hemisphere, medulla oblongata, spinal cord, etc. So all these nerves starting from here, they go to the spinal cord through this particular portion called a pons veroli, remember. So the one which will have a cross bands of a nerve connecting these four important structure. Even it contains several nuclei. We said those gray matter forming the nuclei. What could be the function here? The one which will control muscle tone again. So in addition to the cerebellum, in addition to the other part, it will have a control on muscle tone. It regulates production of a heat in the body. So whenever in cold, we need to increase the heat in the body. And that will be the function carried out by pons spirally. Even it will control, in addition to the medulla oblongata, the breathing rate. Remember, I told you 16 to 20 cycles of inspiration expiration we have, and that will be controlled by pons veroli. But remember, in addition to the medulla oblongata, so these transverse bands of a nerve forming sort of a bulging, having connection to the all parts of the brain, and this is called as pons veroli, with the main function of muscle tone, production of heat, and the control on breathing. Okay. Last part, then the very important part is called medulla oblongata, the conical part of the brain, the one which will continue as a spinal cord. Here I am showing this conical part of the brain. Remember, this conical part of the brain, the one which will continue as a spinal cord. This is called medulla oblongata. Now we'll have a shift here. Remember, now we'll have a gray matter which is from inside and a white matter which is from outside. Remember, so the gray matter which was outside for cerebrum, cerebellum, and pons spheruli now go inside. So cell bodies will be present from inside, and the nerve tract will be from outside. What is importance here? The one which is with 8 pairs of nerves. Nerves starting from the brain. These are called cranial nerves. And they arise from the medulla oblongata. 12 pairs of nerves are there. We are going to discuss in the next part. We need to remember the names of those 12 pairs of a nerve. Here, out of 12 pairs of a cranial nerve, nerves will start from the brain. 8 pairs will start from medulla oblongata, and long list of function again is the one which will control important involuntary activity. Involuntary, not on our will. Respiration, heartbeat, vasomotor activity, vasodilation or vasoconstriction. Blood vessel either to be dilated or to be constricted. And this work is called vasomotor activity. Even peristalsis, movement of a food, movement of a liquid inside the canal, mainly alimentary canal, and this is called peristalsis. Now, all these involuntary activity are controlled by medulla oblongata. Number one. Number two, it will have a non-vital reflex activity like coughing and sneezing and swallowing and vomiting and yawning. All these activities are important for the body, remember. All these are non-vital reflex activity, remember. Coughing, I told you something will try to go in the respiratory tract. That will be forcefully given out. Same is the case of sneezing. Where does particle try to go in the respiratory? They will be forcefully given out. All these are the vital, non-vital reflex activities, remember. And they will be controlled by medulla oblongata again. The one which is main pathway of impulse from spinal cord to the brain and brain to the spinal cord. So all the activity, all the messages that are taken from spinal cord to the brain via medulla oblongata, or from brain to the all parts, that will be with the help of medulla oblongata. Okay. Plus, an important group of this one will form posterior choroid plexus. We already say pia mater, and part of a midbrain that will form the anterior choroid plexus. Similar function here, the one which will form posterior choroid plexus, and that will secrete cerebrospinal fluid. So where is the medulla oblongata actually? If you hold your hand here, neck, somewhere the head bones will finish, somewhere the first vertebra will start here, and whatever little gap is here present here, and this is with medulla oblongata. So someone must have said we should not hit here. We should not hit on the back of the neck because little exposure is there for medulla oblongata. And you'll have a scientific answer to be given for a question. If a little injury to the medulla oblongata occur, persons suffer with the on-the-spot death. I'll repeat, give reason. A little injury to the medulla oblongata, person suffer with the on-the-spot death. Because if the injury to the medulla oblongata takes place, involuntary activity, respiration, and heartbeat will stop. The activity like coughing and sneezing will stop. Connection of a brain to the body and body to the brain will stop. And person suffer with the on-the-spot death. What happened to that Australian cricketer? Yes, Phil Hughes is the same injury to the medulla oblongata, and he suffered with the death at an early stage. This is something about medulla oblongata. We'll continue as we'll have a time. Ventricles of a brain. We already started with cerebrospinal fluid to discuss with cavities present in the brain, and these cavities are called ventricles of the brain. Four are there. First and a second ventricle. We have a name, number, and the part where it is present. First and a second ventricle is present in cerebral hemisphere, the one which are called lateral ventricles. Third one is present in diencephalon, the one which is called diocele. And fourth one is present in medulla oblongata, the one which is called metacele. That's it. This is important. We are important for the multiple choice question. Diagram I'm showing, this is for your understanding only. And see, for example, this is the first and a second ventricle present in cerebrum. The third ventricle present here in the diencephalon. Fourth ventricle present in medulla oblongata. The one which will continue as central canal in the spinal cord. We'll have openings here. Ventricle number 1 and 2, they are open separately into the third. See, separately into the third. Opening is called foramen of Monroe. And third will open into the fourth with the opening called as iter or aqueduct of Sylvius. That's it. This is something about ventricles of the brain. Second part of a central nervous system we want to discuss, and this is spinal cord. See here, a simple diagram that I'm showing. This is the brain, this is cerebellum, and continuation of a brain for sort of a tubular structure, posterior and downward extension of medulla oblongata. That will come out of opening of a head. This is called as foramen magnum of a cranium. Remember the one which is covered with the covering, protective covering meninges and protected in the neural canal of vertebral column. We already discussed all these things. I remember this is called spinal cord myelin, what we call it as. External character wise, the one which is long and a cylindrical. See, long and a cylindrical, but with not a similar diameter. We'll have a swelling here, swelling here. Approximately 40 to 45 centimeter long, 18 inches approximately, and 2.0 to 2.5 centimeter in breadth. Large given it is. But the one which is long and a cylindrical structure of 18 inches. That will vary from person to person, but this is approximate. What could be the important here? Cerebrospinal fluid, which form a cushion, fluid cushion around the spinal cord, within the spinal cord. Remember, section we are going to discuss that time you'll understand. And the one which is broad at its anterior side gradually tapers. See sketch diagram that I'm showing. The one which is continued to up to the lumbar vertebra number 1 and 2. The portion that produced here is a triangular portion. This is called conus medullaris. And continuation of it to up to the last part. This is called phylum terminale. I'll repeat it. The spinal cord will have the end to up to the lumbar vertebra 1 or 2. Triangular portion produces conus medullaris. And non-nervous extension will be there to up to the last part. This is called phylum terminale. Two swellings are there, I told you. It is not with the uniform similar diameter. It will be with the two swelling. See here, you can feel the swelling. This is in neck region for cervical swelling, and another one is present in lumbar region, that is called lumbar swelling. So not with uniform diameter. Diameter will be with more in cervical and lumbar region. These are two swellings called cervical and lumbar swelling. Even it will have a dorsal and ventral fissure, remember. So it will not be exactly like this. It will have a fissure on dorsal and a ventral side. These are the two fissure. Dorsal side will have a simple small fissure, while deep fissure will be there toward the ventral side. Means we'll have a more depression in ventral side. What is important here? Those are four region depending upon the vertebrae. First one is called cervical region, neck region. Next one is thoracic region, chest region. Lumbar region, abdominal region, and last one is sacropochygeal region. Four regions are there on basis of vertebrae. Now remember how many nerves that they start? Nerve we start from the brain. We said these are for cranial nerves. Nerves which will start from spinal cord, these are called spinal nerves. Remember, we'll have 31 pairs of a spinal nerve that will arise from the lateral side and they go to the dorsal, lateral, and ventral side of the respective region. Bunch of nerves in the hind part of a spinal cord along with the phylum terminale that will appear like horsetail like structure. See here, the one which will look like horsetail like structure, and this is called a coda equina. So three scientific name I have given. Triangular part is called phylum, conus medullaris. Non-nervous extension is called phylum terminale, and horse-tail-like structure is called quada equina. Remember, okay. Now, what could be the function of a spinal cord? We'll summarize the one which is center for most reflex action. Reflex action is a topic that we want to discuss. Quick, spontaneous actions present in the body. These are called reflex action. Most of the reflex actions are controlled by spinal cord only. So whenever I told you the example to start the chapter, when we turn the hot plate, we withdraw the hand. That time I said message may go to the spinal cord of brain. If I could have said spinal cord only, you could have not understood. So the message is analyzed at the level of spinal cord. That way it acts as reflex center, remember. Okay. The one which will provide nervous connection to many parts of the body. So brain is connected to all parts of body. No doubt with the help of a spinal cord only. And it is the main pathway of conduction of impulse from brain to body part or from body to the brain. Remember, that's it. Three function. We'll have many more multiple choice question on the introduction. More importantly, and the question is repeatedly asked on histology or TS of a spinal cord. TS of a spinal cord. If we take the section of a spinal cord, now we'll have a different layers, a different structure here. We'll start from inside to the outside. Centrally, we'll have a central canal seen in the center. See, this is the central canal. And the one which is lined by the type of a cell called ependyma cell. Do you remember we discussed ependyma cell in this chapter only? Yes. The one which will secrete cerebrospinal fluid in addition to the choroid plexus. So remember, in the center we'll have a central canal, the one which is with ependyma cell. Now this will be covered or surrounded by this H shape, butterfly shape, gray matter. I told you cell bodies accumulate from gray matter. Gray matter will be from inside. Now gray matter will have a two dorsal and two ventral horns. See, these two dorsal and two ventral horns. These are two dorsal and two ventral horns are prominent, while we'll have a two lateral horns, which are small and maybe vestigial, or they are underdeveloped, remember. So gray matter will have two dorsal and two ventral horn. Two lateral horns are underdeveloped here. Next, same again diagram I'm showing, hand sketch diagram that I'm showing here. Gray matter is surrounded by white matter. See here, this is the white matter. Gray matter will be surrounded by white matter, and this white matter, because of specific arrangement of a gray matter, will be divided into three parts: upper part, side part, and lower part, respectively. Dorsal funiculus, ventral funiculus, and lateral funiculus. Remember. So upper side will have dorsal funiculus, and laterally will have the lateral funiculus, and lower side will have lower or ventral funiculus. Okay. Now, dorsal funiculus will continue into the ascending tract. That nerve that conducts sensory impulse. See there, this one I am talking about. This will continue as a root. We call the dorsal root, the one which will contain sensory nerve that will bring the message to the spinal cord. Ventral side, the ventral funiculus will continue as ventral root. Remember this dorsal horn, ventral root, and the one which will contain motor impulse, sorry, motor nerve, and that will take the message from here. Remember, white matter externally covered by those three meninges. Now we'll discuss from inside to outside. Can you name? Yes, Paya method, arachnoid method, and the dura method. That's it. Here we are up to. Quickly we summarize for spinal cord. Now we'll have a two mass type question, either to draw this diagram only, or with the three mass type question, diagram and the explanation. I'll repeat. We'll have a central canal. We'll have S-shaped gray matter, and we'll have white matter surrounded by those three meninges. Remember. That's it. Here we are up to. What we discuss today, we discuss the last part of brain, the one which is a hind brain made up of three parts. Last part of brain, the one which is made up of three parts. The one which is the one which is three parts we discuss. In addition to the spinal cord that we discuss in detail. Spinal cord, I said, the one which is tubular extension of a brain, downward extension of a brain, with the one which start from medulla oblongata, the one which will continue as a spinal cord. Tubular in nature, and we said we'll have a three scientific name to be remembered. That triangular portion is for conus medullaris. Non-nervous extension is for phylum terminale, and those horse-like structure, horse-tail-like structure form is called a coda equina. Section we discussed, we said we'll have a central canal in the central line by ependyma cell, the one which will secrete the cerebrospinal fluid. Then we'll have a H-shaped gray matter, cell body will be from inside, and the white matter which is from outside, covered by three meninges from inside to outside, pia matter, arachnoid matter, and dura matter. Here we are up to, we completed central nervous system now. Brain and the spinal cord we completed. Next time we'll start discussion with PNS and ANS, and we'll summarize the topic with some disorders. Okay, we'll stop. I hope you are understanding. Any difficulty, you can post it in a WhatsApp group. I'll be ready to answer. Okay, we'll stop. Thank you.